So we're at the Mobile World Congress, so viewability on mobile. How do you guys deal with that?
Yeah, I think mobile is interesting. It's obviously a challenge in certain aspects. I think what we separate out are a mobile web and mobile app. Moat was actually the first company to be accredited by the Media Rating Council to measure mobile web app for display and video. So we have been doing it at scale for quite a while now. In web, it's more simple. You can basically do everything that you want already with a JavaScript pixel as you do in desktop. So web, we think that we have figured out quite well. We're doing it with the largest brands in the world, the largest publishers in the world. App, a little bit more complicated. It's SDK based. So Moat has an SDK that publishers, ad servers, SSPs can basically bundle into their own SDKs to enable measurement in the in-app world as well.
So we heard a lot about an IAB initiative of an open source SDK, so that would make life a little bit easier. Could you comment on that? How does that work?
Sure, yeah, I think it's, as an industry as a whole, viewability measurement in-app is a challenge because of the necessity of having an SDK. And so, we came together with a couple of other, large players in the market, Google, MoPub, and others, to support the open source SDK initiative. Basically meaning that, having the open source SDK enabled in an app code can pass raw viewability data, for example, to other vendors, so they can basically make a viewability measurement. The Moat SDK, our own SDK, is fully compatible with the open source SDK. So while the open source SDK might not only be able to pass, a small number of metrics, through the Moat SDK itself, you would basically have compatibility with the open source world, and in addition to that, get many other attention-related metrics that we really think will drive more success from a branding side of things.
All right. So you guys measure viewability and whether it's human or not. Do you guys also have an opinion on what the standard should be for mobile?
Yeah, so we do measure on different kinds of standards or market. Obviously, we have the IAB standard, 50% of the ad on the screen for 1 second on display and 50% on the ad for 2 seconds in video. We do see that more and more marketers and more agency groups are basically saying that the IAB standards are not good enough for them. They want to hold the publishers and other media owners accountable to a higher standard. So we do support that. So we have the ability of building bespoke viewability metrics on a client-by-client basis. Do we take an opinion on that? No, we don't. We're an independent third-party measurement company. Yeah. But we do see generally that there tends to be right now an appetite to explore at least the viewability definitions that go beyond the IAB standard.
So we hear a lot about measurement problems at the big platforms. So for instance, Facebook, 3 times they come out telling that what we looked at in terms of data wasn't totally correct. What's your guys' role in that whole situation?
Yeah, so first of all, we think it's a great thing that Facebook is taking now a more transparent approach and working with the MRC and working with us as an independent third-party company to enable measurement across their platforms as well. I think as an industry as a whole, transparency in general, has been an issue. I think though, with the importance of third-party measurement coming into play and us measuring on many different platforms these days, we actually create a marketplace that's more trustworthy. And so I do think that working with the MRC will help that.
So for 2017, what's your guys' big plan or big feature? What's coming out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think what we ask ourselves is, again, how can we make the world, the digital world, for especially brand advertisers and publishers, understand a little bit better, what drives success. And so I think, if you look at the past, impressions and clicks were the main metrics. We don't think that those KPIs, those metrics drive success necessarily, especially on the branding side. So we're trying to look beyond. We try to look at, what is the starting point? Is it viewability? Is it human? And then, what else can we do? So a couple of things that I think are really interesting is correlating our data into attribution modeling. How much offline return do you try from any kind of online marketing investment? And so we're working with a couple of partners on making that easily accessible and understandable. We're looking at combining audience data through partnerships with campaign aggregated data. And we are rolling out our Moat Video Score. Moat Video Score is, I think, a core idea that comes from TV, where you have a immersive full screen environment with sound on. And in digital, we do see that doesn't tend to happen at all times. So the Moat Video Score is actually a translation of that, with considering sound, considering a visible time, and considering what we call screen real estate. So how much of the ad is actually on the screen, how much is covered, which I think is a really interesting concept.